Star Wars is packed with all sorts of cool stuff, but one of the things that really gets fans excited is the Starfighters. Now these are one-person spaceships built for battling in space or the atmosphere. Each faction in the Star Wars universe has its own models, and some stand out as being more powerful or just plain cooler than the rest. We first saw these ships in Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope, with the Empire's TIE Fighter and the Rebellion's X-Wing making their first appearances. Since then, they've inspired tons of different Starfighters in the movies and other media. Here's a look at some of the strongest and most unforgettable ones. So starting off from the bottom with number 10, Delta 7B Aethersprite-Class Light Interceptor. The second-gen Jedi Starfighter showed up in Star Wars The Clone Wars, and it was a pretty nice upgrade from the old Delta 7. The biggest change was moving the astromech droid to the middle of the hull, which made it way easier to take the droid out. However, the Delta 7B didn't stick around for long. It was mainly used during the Clone Wars for the Jedi. By the end of the war, this model was phased out, and a newer Jedi Starfighter took its place. Next, number 9, TIE Fighter. The TIE Fighter is a classic ship from Star Wars. The sound it makes as it zooms through space is super recognizable, almost like a movie trademark. It doesn't have combat shields, hyperdrive, or life support systems, which keeps it light and super maneuverable. This design choice makes it easy to whip out and replace when needed. While it has all the basics of a regular starfighter, it doesn't really stand out compared to some others, which is why it ranks lower on the list. That said, there are some versions of the TIE Fighter that have made some upgrades over the original design. Moving along to number 8, ARC 170 Starfighter. The Aggressive Reconnaissance 170 or ARC 170 is a cool multi-purpose starfighter built for both serious battles and long deep space missions. It was created to take over from the Clone Z-95 Headhunter as the Galactic Republic's go-to starfighter. This bad boy can fit 3 people, a pilot, a co-pilot, and a tail gunner who controls its awesome laser cannons. It's got 2 powerful engines and hyperdrive, plus there's room for an astromech droid to help with navigation. However, it got phased out when the Republic turned into the Empire, since they preferred the cheaper TIE Fighters. Now at number 7 we have Vulture-Class Droid Starfighter. This Vulture-Class Droid Starfighter is pretty unique because it doesn't have a pilot. It's basically just a droid. The Separatists used these droids as their starfighters, along with the droid Tri-Fighter. What's cool about the Vulture droid is that it can travel in space and on land, since its wings can fold down into legs. This gives it a different style of combat that other starfighters just can't match. However, since it's not controlled by a pilot, the Vulture droid misses out on the creativity and quick thinking that a living pilot might bring, which could be a downside in tough fight situations. Moving along to number 6, Bwing. Now the Bwing is a totally unique starfighter, unlike anything else out there. It is flown by just one pilot, and it's all about heavy firepower instead of getting into dogfights. Think of it as a blockade buster. It's built to take down enemy ships with its serious weaponry. Loaded with lasers, ion cannons, torpedo launchers, and laser-guided bombs, the Bwing can cause serious destruction. But all that firepower has its downsides. It's pretty slow and doesn't handle as well as other starfighters. 5 N1 Nibou Starfighter. This ship first showed up in The Phantom Menace as the starfighters for the Nibou army, and it was famously flown by a young Anakin Skywalker. More recently, it got new attention in The Mandalorian, when Din Djarin took it as his new ride after the Razor Crest was destroyed. With its cool design and fast twin radial J-type engines, this baby can really move. It's got blaster cannons and photon torpedo launchers that made taking down the droid control ship a breeze. The Mandalorian definitely highlighted how powerful this starfighter is. especially with a skilled pilot like Din Djarin at the controls. Now number 4 on the list, General Grievous Soulless One. The Soulless One was basically General Grievous' personalized take on the Belbelab 22 Starfighter, kind of like how he modified his own body. The ship was decked out with tough impervium alloy armor and a cool sensor jamming system for protection. Plus, it had 2 rapid-fire laser cannons for attacking. It was seen as a step up from the Vulture Droid and the Droid Tri-Fighter. Even though it had a lot of potential, Grievous mostly preferred to fight up close with his 4 lightsabers, so he didn't really take full advantage of what the Soulless One could do. Some folks even call it the Spineless One, because Grievous often used it just to get away, especially in Revenge of the Sith. 3. XWing. The X-Wing is basically what every starfighter aspires to be, and there's no denying it's one of the most famous spaceships out there. It's not just a pretty face either. This thing can pack a punch with 4 cannons on each wing, and a torpedo launcher that fans will remember took down the Death Star. Super speedy and capable, the X-Wing set the bar high for starfighters. Luke Skywalker really made it his own, and the design has held up over the years, still being used by the Resistance to take on the First Order. Number 2 on the list, ETA-2 Aethersprite-Class Light Interceptor. The upgraded Delta 7, known as the Jedi Interceptor, first showed up in Revenge of the Sith during the Battle of Coruscant with Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker. It was smaller, faster, and had way more firepower than the earlier version, hitting speeds of up to 1,500 km per hour, thanks to its ion engines. It was armed with twin laser cannons and twin ion cannons, making it pretty formidable. After the Jedi Order fell, the Interceptor was retired, but Darth Vader ended up using a modified black version of it years later. And finally, number 1, Darth Vader's TIE Advanced X-1. Darth Vader was one of the top pilots in the galaxy, so it makes sense that his starfighter is the best of the best. He had a TIE Advanced, which is basically a souped-up version of the regular TIE fighter. It could fly way faster and came with all sorts of upgrades, like a deflector shield, a hyperdrive, and life support systems. The TIE Advance had improved weapons too, with heavy twin blaster cannons and cluster missiles. Vader's fighter had it all, and it's a bummer that we don't see it more in the stories. And that is all for today. Thanks for watching and catch you in the next one. Take care.